Welcome to Around the ASUN. Around the ASUN is the newest podcast for the newest conference in FCS football. Now let's send it to your hosts, Will Seiler and Brandon Owens.
Welcome back, FCS Fans Nation, to what is, I guess, the penultimate episode of Around the ASUN for this year, for this season. We will probably have one more to kind of recap the playoffs. But for right now, we're nearing the end of the first year of this podcast, and so it is kind of a bittersweet moment for us as we, really stuck with it for a whole season. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. This was definitely a great idea that you and I threw around, starting 2 years ago, just wanting to start some sort of podcast together, and then this happened with the ASUN, so
yeah, it was a good season. I guess, our teams kind of, I don't want to, sound too negative here, but underperformed. There we go. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We, sat around in August sitting here going, how deep could UCA and Jacksonville State go? And we severely overshot that target. But
I think we both said semifinals.
I think I was very conservative though with UCA, because I was like, I think they've got the talent to do that, but let's go historically and say that I think they can make it to the quarters. But we were 5-5, and so it is what it is.
Can both of our teams finish with a winning record?
And there's something to be said for teams that consistently win too, though, that have winning seasons. I mean, I know, we're not going to be in the playoffs at 6-5, but there's something to be said for not having a losing season. I'd have to go back and look. It has been a hot minute. I guess it's been a long time since UCA's had a losing season. I'm gonna have to look that up now. Do you know off the top of your head how long it was since Jacksonville State's had one?
Try 2 years ago.
Oh, oof, my bad.
We finished 6-6, but I still considered that a losing season. We finished 3-5 in the OVC.
Oh yeah. Let's see. I was gonna try to find the all-time seasons. Where's that even at? I don't know. I'd have to look a little deeper. I know it's on the website somewhere because I've found it before. But oh well, I'll find it here in a minute when you're talking for something. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and recap week 11 of the FCS football season, and then kind of preview week 12, and even I'll let Brandon do a little bit of playoff talk because I know he has a bracketology that he does. I do not. I've got input, but I do not have a full bracket, so I'll probably let Brandon share a little bit about his bracket. Sneak peek, it is not the one that's behind us right now.
Absolutely not.
It's kind of funny the way it worked out. This is 2017's bracket, and UCA is right here below me, and Jacksonville State's right above Brandon. I didn't necessarily plan that until I saw it, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. So anyway, so we're going to just hop right in, talk about what happened last week. If you were not watching, and it was, not necessarily a groundbreaking week for ASUN football. Jacksonville State did what they had to do to beat Lamar by 31 points. Although at halftime, that game was good.
Let's not talk about it. I
was at halftime of that game. I was on a plane. I didn't get to go to the UCA game this weekend. I was on. I had a trip up to Philadelphia, but when I saw that. When I got off the plane and it was halftime of that game and it was 10-7, I was like, holy smokes. I was like, that's, I know Jacksonville State had underperformed, but let's not, like just die as a program.
I
So,
will
yeah.
say this though, the Jacksonville State team of old, like from the years where we were dominating in the OVC, where we started slow and then just let loose in the second quarter, it was so nice to see that team back. It was so nice to see them back.
Yeah. No doubt a good good showing in the second half for sure. But Austin P did what I thought they would get done against Tennessee State, 36-7. I was excited to see them play like who we thought they were. But you were not super confident that they would get it done. You had some doubts, or maybe it was more some like inclination towards Tennessee State.
Yeah, inclination, because there's always a game where every OVC team has that game where they should win, but they end up losing it. That was this game for Austin P. I'm glad they did not fall into the trap.
No doubt. Eastern Kentucky and Sam Houston State in what was a battle for the AQ7 title this year, which not really because EKU had lost before, but it was, can somebody beat Sam Houston? I guess is more what it was. And they put up a decent fight, lost by 14 points. Obviously, it was not Sam Houston's closest game of the year, so I think we really saw maybe a tier system in the AQ7. I think there was definitely a Sam Houston State on a tier by itself, and then UCA, EKU, and SFA, in my opinion, would have been tier 2. I do think Jacksonville State was in that tier 3 by itself, kind of in between Abilene and Lamar, and then the other two. But that's just me. That's just how I felt.
No,
I know
that's exactly. I was like, you better not include JSU in that tier 2.
No,
Not this year.
No, and if they had beaten somebody else in there, I think that would have been somewhere to put them. But they obviously
They still have one game to prove that.
That's fair. They get to play Eastern Kentucky this week, so that's right. Yeah. Okay. I didn't even look. That was just off the top of my head. Moving on, North Alabama did lose to Kennesaw State in a tight one, 28-24. The Lions, man, they're doing what, this was a game early in the season. I was like, hey, that could be a good game. And it was, but it just, it wasn't a good game between two teams with good records.
Right. I was mad because UNA went up and then they easily let KSU score and then just threw the game away with an interception. Like,
yeah, it was.
But we're used to this from UNA by this point.
Yeah, I mean, I continually picked them, and then this week I was like, yeah, I just can't pick them because it's gonna be, I gotta pick Kennesaw.
It's your fault, Will.
And then they almost beat them.
It's your fault, Will. You should have picked them.
Oh, geez. But here's the deal. I mean, if we want an ASUN school to possibly get a seed, then that was kind of what had to happen. So, whatever. We're claiming them like they're an ASUN school. And then last game of the week was UCA and Stephen F. Austin. On the stripes, Stephen F. Austin got it done, beat UCA 27-14. It was a really tight game early, a very defensive game. UCA's scoring 41 points a game and was held to 14. So that was SFA defense was really good. Just on our fan boards, hearing people talk, I think everybody pretty much agreed that was probably the best team we'd played this year, other than A-State. And you may say, well, you played the number one team in the country. Our offense did what we wanted against the number one team in the country in the second half. I mean, moved the ball at will. We just, we're down 34-7. But so as far as talent and size, speed, everything like that, SFA was the real deal. They've got something brewing down there. Can't stand Colby Carthel, but he's a heck of a coach. So Rev, you got me this year. I don't know when we'll play again, but I'm sure next time we'll put something down on it and make a bet, because we did not this year.
That's a team I'm hoping I get to play every year.
Hey man, it was I don't know that I do, because I've never felt safe playing Stephen F. Austin.
That was a fun game. I didn't go to the game, but I watched the JSU Sam Houston, Stephen F. Austin game. It was a fun game to watch. Very fun
And
game.
they've got Xavier Gibson's a heck of a player. He I want to say he scored 2 touchdowns against us. I tell you what, though, it was really a strange. I can tell you what happened. We were up 14-10 with 3.5 minutes to go in the second quarter, like going into halftime, and we got the ball back on like our own 20 or something. And my thought was, okay, you're probably gonna just try and kill some time. If you score, you score. If you don't, you don't. Whatever. But you've got 3.5 minutes, so you'd rather probably run some time off. We started, getting a little tempo, having a little success, and then we stalled out and gave them the ball back with like 1:45 left. Well, they score. They got the ball coming out of halftime and scored. And so now you're looking at 24-14. That's a 14-point swing in like 2 minutes of game time. And so it was that's kind of where the game swung. And then obviously the field goal was the only other score after that. But they held us scoreless in the second half. So props to those guys. It kind of hurt not having Lawan on the field because there were 2 or 3 times we threw into triple coverage to Tyler Hudson. And, that's not a recipe for success. But no, it is what it is. They are a good football team, and we just this year we tended to beat teams that we were better than and lose to teams that I think we were not as good as. So anyway,
Sad day because I really wanted that. Go into the Jacksonville State side. I really wanted that, at least that UCA game, to be really competitive, and it was not.
Oh, the UCA Jacksonville State game.
Mhm.
Yeah. If you can't tell, this is a episode of reflection. This is an episode that we're going to take to look back at what could have been, and we'll probably do that again when the playoffs are over. But no, it is what it is. Neither of our teams did what they were supposed to do.
No, and it's very sad.
It is, but we will move on to some rankings. 4 teams out of the AQ7 and ASUN were ranked or receiving votes, and that was Sam Houston at number 1, Kennesaw State at number 9, and then if you go to the coaches poll, they're still at number 5. Hooty hoo. And then SFA comes in at number 22, and then Eastern Kentucky still receiving votes. And then I want to say in the coaches poll, UCA was still receiving votes at 5 and 5.
They were.
And so, I don't know. The 24 best teams.
Is Nathan Brown the only one voting for Central Arkansas?
No. It can't be unless he's voting us like higher than 25 because we're sitting. It's multiple votes. It's not like one vote. And so I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Colby Carthel did. Maybe he was like, "Hey, those dudes were good, and I'm gonna vote them in." Or maybe Casey Keeler was like, "Hey, ever since we played those guys, like they were one of the better teams we played. Vote." I don't know. Somebody is though, and I don't think it's Coach Brown. I don't even know if he votes.
Well, it's not John Gross anymore.
No, it could be Max Thurman. Coach Thurman, man, that dude's the GOAT. Y'all just need to
He
hire him.
is. I actually got to I was not in my apartment during the game, but I pulled it up on my phone and watched a little bit. Seeing him coach, oh my gosh, he is fantastic.
Oh, that dude
absolutely fantastic.
That dude is so high energy. Because he was our special teams coordinator, or no,
Right.
excuse me, he was our defensive coordinator, my sophomore year, and no, that dude is awesome. He that was even as a defensive coordinator, he had me and one of the other long snappers come into his office one day and watch special teams film from when he was at Austin Peay, and because he was there with Will Healy.
Yeah.
And then he obviously went to Charlotte after he left UCA. But no, Coach Thurman, man, he is awesome. And if I was Jacksonville State, I would give him a shot. I know interim guy. I'd give him a shot. He would run a good program, and all that discipline stuff that you talk about, that'd be cleaned up real quick. I promise. But
Yeah, I still think another guy has the job, but I really want Thurman to stay
is
on
it the
coaching
guy that
staff.
followed Cocky Nation on Twitter?
Yeah, the offensive coordinator for not offensive coordinator, offensive line coach for the Giants.
Oh wow, that'd be a pull. I wonder how much money he's making.
I don't know, but
How
he's
about-
a JSU grad.
Oh, let's see, Giants coaching staff
It's
salaries.
Jody Wright.
Jody Wright. I wonder if I can get the. How do you spell his first name?
Jody.
Jody Wright salary. Did he coach at UAB at some point?
Yes.
Cool. So
He was on Bill Clark's staff here at JSU in 13, and then he went with Clark to UAB.
gotcha. I'm not finding his Giants salary. What was John Gross getting paid?
That is a very good question.
You should be able to find that anywhere because
Yeah.
he's a state employee. But anyway, we will move on. We won't speculate
I'll
too
look
much.
at it.
All right. But yeah, I'd give Coach Thurman a shot, man. He's awesome.
$300,000 a year.
That's what he was making at Jacksonville State.
Yeah, that's not including the bonuses that were in his contract.
Yeah, that's a base salary, $300. That's pretty good for an FCS school, no doubt. Okay, well, we will throw up the AQ7 power poll. It was unchanged from last week, so I did not have to make a new graphic. Sam Houston still holding it down at number 1, and I would assume that they'll stay at number 1. SFA, I think, pretty much solidified themselves at 2. Eastern Kentucky comes in at 3, and then UCA ends right there in the middle of the pack at number 4. Jacksonville State at 5, and then the 2 that have been on the bottom for the entire season are still on the bottom. So props to Lamar for taking home the worst team in the AQ7. I think that's exactly how I voted in my poll, and I would assume most people voted that way.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody.
They got everybody voted Abilene at 6 and Lamar at 7.
Did everybody? Was that like the order that everybody voted?
No.
Really?
3, 4, and 5 still received different votes among EKU, JSU, and UCA.
Okay, there's no way JSU was any higher than 5.
No. Third was between EKU and UCA.
Okay, I mean, I can see that because I think UCA is better than Eastern Kentucky, but I voted it that way just because I felt dirty not giving EKU the 3. But I can absolutely see the argument, and I could even make the argument that UCA is better than Eastern Kentucky and that we shouldn't have lost.
Yeah,
I'd love to play that game again.
5 was between JSU and UCA, and then 4 was between all 3.
Wait. Oh, okay. You're saying somebody did put UCA at 5? Somebody
Yes.
put UCA under Jacksonville State?
Yeah.
Please tell me it wasn't you.
No.
Okay. Because
absolutely not. My order was exactly what was on the screen.
Oh, God bless America. We came down to Jacksonville and beat the brakes off of Jacksonville State. Whatever. I don't care. It's not like it means that much. It's just like, whatever. I think.
Sounds like a few weeks ago, my stance on JSU and Stephen F. Austin.
Okay, but you got outplayed. You got
outplayed. We still beat them
in every facet of the game except turnovers.
But we still beat them.
Whatever. You beat them by 1 point.
No.
What was it? 3? I forgot.
3 or 4.
Oh, God. It was a blowout, man.
It's better than a 1-point win.
I know. I'm just messing around. It's not like any of this matters as far as a power poll goes. But moving on to week 12, final week of the regular season. We got some decent games to talk about. We've got North Alabama and Hampton. We might as well pick them as we go because, it's the last game of the year. And then we'll let you talk about your brackets. So North Alabama and Hampton. I'm going to roll with the Lions again. They showed me something last week against Kennesaw squad that's going to be in the running for a seed. So, North Alabama, I think they get it done and end the season on a good note.
Yeah, they're going to go into Hampton and Actually, it's in Florence. My bad.
Oh yeah,
They're gonna protect their home turf. Hampton's not that good of a program, at least this year. So I don't see
I think it's
UNA
pretty
having.
safe. I think it's pretty safe to say they're not a good program. I don't
Yeah,
think you have to add the this year to it.
UNA will have no issues. I got the Lions.
Yeah, me too. Here's probably, I would say, the best game of the week, and that is Jacksonville State and Eastern Kentucky. And man, I guess the ranking or our power poll could shake up a little bit if Eastern decides to
Not
lose.
show up.
Yeah, to not show, especially at home. You know, a couple weeks ago we were saying they could be the second playoff team out of the AQ7, and now we're clearly not gonna. That's not gonna be the case. So I don't know. I think Eastern's probably a more complete team, but Jacksonville State could do it.
Yeah, I think especially with us playing playing each other in years past in the OVC, going into this conference and into the ASUN, we're familiar with them. And Richmond is not very unfamiliar for us. Before 19, we went into Richmond, even though they came down here in 19. Before 19, we were undefeated in Richmond, Kentucky for however long we won championships. So I don't see that changing. But I say that to say this also. This is going to be a close game. I think it's going to come down to who wants the game more. So with that being said, after what I saw with Jacksonville State, I'm going to regret doing this, but I am picking the Gamecocks.
Well, I am not, and not because I don't think they're good, but I think it all rests on Zarek Cooper's hands. I know that's like super cliche to say that it depends on how the quarterback plays, but I think that's part of the reason you guys have not been very successful this year. Is he has made the mistakes that we've seen him make in the past. He makes bad throws. His throws are off sometimes. He has not gotten any better since he's been there, if not worse. So I'm going to say that Eastern Kentucky gets it done at home. That's a program that their whole thing is it's a sense of pride. Like I think it's a matter of pride. That's their like slogan for the year. And so especially when you're playing the last game of the year, for them, I guess go 7-4, 7-5, or 6-5. No, 7-4. That's
They'll
big
be
for
6-5 if they lose.
Okay, yeah, that's a big time. 7-4 for an EKU program that a couple of years ago was a doormat of the OVC is it's pretty good. So I'm gonna roll with the Colonels because I think they'll just be more up for the game. Although I wouldn't put it past old Coach Thurman's Gamecocks to get it done. But I think that Eastern will win.
Yeah, I think Thurman's gonna be holding the fact that if they win, they can finish with a winning record. I think he's holding that over their head this week.
No, I totally agree.
Do you
But
want to finish with a winning record, or do you want to finish with a losing record?
I totally agree. But the same thing can be said for Eastern Kentucky. Do you want to be a just above 500 squad, or do you want to be a team that was 2 games over 500, 3 games over 500, and was that looks better in the grand scheme of a program than 6-5? And so I think the same thing will kind of be said for.
It'll be a good game.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I think that's a game that I'll have on the side. So moving on down the line, Austin Peay and Tennessee Tech. Last game of the year for both of these squads. Tennessee Tech has not had a good run at it this year.
When did they ever have a good run?
Hey, man, in 2012, I think, or 2013, 2012. No, it was definitely 2012. Could have been 2011. It was definitely 2011. They made the playoffs. They were 7-3 and got in the playoffs, and they hosted
The
us.
only reason why they made the playoffs was because JSU was on probation.
Well, they beat Jacksonville State that year, 21-14. We actually
I could have swore that we beat them.
no Tennessee Tech that year. The only games they lost were to Tennessee State, to Murray State, and let's see, Iowa, and they lost to us in Cookeville, 34-14, in the first round of the playoffs because we went to Montana right after that.
You're right. They did beat us at home by 1 touchdown.
Yep, 7 points. So yeah, so I mean they haven't been great since then.
But the top 3 were like co-champs. And the only 2 that got in was Tennessee Tech and EKU.
Gotcha. But still, yeah, they had some success back in the day. But this year they have not had a good run at it. Austin P is starting, I think, to do what we think they could do, starting to play a little bit better. So I'm gonna roll with the Govs.
Oh, there's no doubt. I'm going with the Govs.
Man, I say that and they'll lose, but it's just what happens to me when I pick teams. UCA and Tarleton State, last game of the year for both of these schools. Or does Tarleton get to play another one since they're in transition?
Ooh.
I don't think they do.
No.
I
think this is Tarleton's last game.
Okay. Because, sometimes those teams that are in transition will play an extra game. Yeah.
I know we will next year.
Well,
We'll play
last year,
12.
or not last year, when UCA was in transition from Division II, we played North Dakota, because both teams were on probation, and so we played them. But anyway, beside the point, UCA looking to finish the year with a winning season after losing to Stephen F. Austin, and then Tarleton looking to get a good win for their program over Central Arkansas. So we will see how that one turns out. What do you think?
I am looking at their schedule right now.
Both teams are 5-5.
And
So.
yeah. And the losses in conference are pretty bad.
Yeah, they've not necessarily impressed against mutual opponents.
So with that being said, I don't think Central Arkansas is going to have anything to worry about. They will finish with a winning season.
Yeah, they've got a loss against Fort Lewis, or excuse me, a win against Fort Lewis, a win against New Mexico Highlands, and a win against Midwestern State. So 3 of their wins are Division II wins,
D2.
and then Dixie State, obviously,
Lamar.
they beat, which, I mean, that's not a Division II win, but not necessarily a good win, and then Lamar, and we know that's not a good win.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I'm going to say UCA gets it done there in Stephenville. I think Coach Brown will have them ready to play because, like we said earlier, a winning season's a big deal. And it's hard to win games in Division I football. So I'm going to roll with the Bears in this one, just like I have pretty much all year. But that is what it is. And then game of the week, Kennesaw State in a battle for the Big South Championship with Monmouth. And they're playing there in Kennesaw at Fifth Third Bank Stadium, which I don't know how you were the Fifth Third Bank anywhere, but
nah. My mom said the same thing when we had to go play them.
It's like having a Fourth Baptist Church. It's like, oh, okay, so you were the fourth one there. Apparently, they were not only the third bank there; they were the fifth third bank there. So, I don't know. It was a very unoriginal name.
Very.
But I am excited to watch this one because Kennesaw State past few weeks hasn't been great, but a lot to play for here. A lot around the program early in the year, and then they have just continued to win. And so I think they will get it done this week because I don't think Monmouth is just a lights out program this year. So I'm gonna roll with Kennesaw to get it done and really make a push at a seed.
Yeah, I want chaos to happen, but not in this game. This is the game because if Monmouth wins, how in the world do you keep Kennesaw out of the playoffs? You don't.
No, I mean they'd
So
get in.
so that's the main reason. I want the Big South to be a one bid league. Kennesaw, you better not screw this up. I'm going with the Owls.
All right. Well, it sounds like you are very excited about this one.
No, there's just a lot. Like I've been pretty good about predicting things
Yeah.
this year. I don't. I just have a bad feeling about this one, and I really don't want to be proven wrong.
Um, I don't think you will. I think they'll get it done. And I think they'll make a push to see. We'll talk about that here in just a minute.
Yeah.
Just behind the screen here, I was actually looking up the last time UCA had a losing season, and that was in 2009. We
Second or third year in FCS.
third, I think,
Okay.
because we moved up in 06. So,
Okay.
fun fact, that year we played at Hawaii to start the year, got beat. Then we played at Western Kentucky, who was an FBS school, and we beat them 28-7. And then we beat Glenville State, Missouri S&T, Northwestern State, and then we lost to Stephen F. Austin 33-30. So at that point we were 4-2. Then we beat Nicholls, so we're 5-2, and then we dropped 5 games in a row. We dropped our last 5 games to Southeastern, Texas State, Sam Houston, number 8 McNeese, and North Dakota, and we lost none of those by any more than 4 points. We lost to Southeastern.
Oh,
We lost to Southeastern by 4, lost to Texas State by 3, Sam Houston by 3, number 8 McNeese by 4, and we played North Dakota that year in that little extra game and lost by 1. So not exactly
that sucks.
yeah, it was pretty rough. But it is what it is. Dropped 5 in a row. So that's the last time UCA had a losing season.
Okay.
So I think Coach
It
Brown
has been a long time.
09, man. So they'll be we went 6-5 in 2018, and hopefully we'll be 6-5 this year. But I think Coach Brown will be bugging the players' ears quite a bit. Make sure we know not to let that one slip. But all right, man. Well, let's move on a little bit to a little bit of playoff outlook. We'll go ahead and state the obvious. Sam Houston is the auto bid out of the AQ7. As long as they don't screw up, they are going to be the number 1 seed, probably in the playoffs.
Mhm.
I think with all the chaos that's happened, I don't think it would be right for the committee to drop them out of the 1 spot.
I know you're absolutely right. Like everything for Sam Houston to get the number 1 seed fell into place either 2 weeks ago or last week.
Yeah, with I just don't think with North Dakota State having lost a game and not just having blown everybody out, it's not like North Dakota State looked invincible and then lost to South Dakota State very close. It was, I think Sam Houston did what they had to do. Other teams did what they had to do. A lot of parity in the Missouri Valley this year, so that was beneficial for them.
Yeah, and some people are saying Montana State should be 1. Okay, I can see the argument there, but Sam Houston is most likely going to be undefeated.
Yeah, and you have to look at where they started too. Like, you've thought this highly of Sam Houston all year, and they've done nothing to then, prove you wrong, I guess.
Right.
And so I don't see how, if you've thought this way of Sam Houston all year, you can then go, well, look at what Montana State's done. We think they're better. So I think Montana State was more of a pleasant surprise for the committee than a legitimate contender for the 1 seed. But that's just how I feel about it. I think that Sam Houston will be the number 1, and who knows? I mean, Montana State could lose this week.
They're not going to lose.
They could absolutely lose this week.
They can. They're not going to.
Well, I don't know. I'm not putting any money on that game. I wouldn't touch it with
Nope,
a 10-foot
I'm not
pole.
either. That's one of those games that I pick and predict, but I don't. I would never put money on that game.
No, me either. But I'm gonna, I guess, give you the floor. Do you have like an electronic copy of your bracket?
Yeah, I can share it with you real quick.
If you want to share it, I could probably throw it up on the screen. And if you just want to like shoot it to me in a text.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got Sam Houston as your 1 seed. So while we're going here, we can talk through it. Who's your 2?
Montana State,
Montana
who
State.
I also have winning the Big Sky.
Okay. And then what about your 3?
I got James Madison. Okay, this is the next controversy we have heard a lot about, whether North Dakota State or James Madison deserves the 3 seed. In my opinion, James Madison has done way more than North Dakota State to deserve that 3 seed. That's
Okay.
just my personal opinion.
Back that up.
Back it up. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just, I don't. It's good.
I got to pull up schedules because
That's
that was my reasoning, was like game results.
Okay. I can roll with that.
Get to James Madison real quick. All season long, James Madison, number 1, James Madison beat Weber State.
It's a good
So
win.
that's a very good win. On average, all of their wins have come with at least 15 points, 14 or more points.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they just beat another possible playoff team this past weekend in William and Mary. So going to North Dakota State, let me get to the Missouri Valley real quick. That's not the right game.
All right. I've got your bracket on the screen.
All right. So, North Dakota State, I mean, they're out of conference schedule. Of course, they wipe the floor with everybody. Going into conference play, they had a 6-point win over North Dakota, a 14-point win over Northern Iowa, a 20-point win over Illinois State, a 7-point win over Missouri State, completely demolished Indiana State like most of everybody does, apparently, except for EKU. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Lost to the Jacks, completely demolished Youngstown State. And then they play South Dakota this weekend, which could very possibly well be. I don't know if I would call it a trap game.
Right.
But coming off of the momentum that South Dakota had over South Dakota State with that last-second Hail Mary, I mean, South Dakota, in my opinion, has a lot to play for. They could carry that momentum going forward.
They could. It's true.
So with those close a few of those close wins that North Dakota State had, that's the reason I put James Madison above North Dakota State. And then obviously North Dakota State is my 4. I have Eastern Washington at 5. Some people don't have Eastern Washington that high. Some people have Villanova at 5. Then I have East Tennessee State at 6, Kennesaw at 7, and then Villanova at 8.
How much did East Tennessee State's win over Vanderbilt factor in?
A lot.
And because I mean that's about as high as I've seen ETSU get into the seeding range.
Well, the fact that them ranking them this high also proves that one of my picks this week was East Tennessee State over Mercer. Okay. So the fact that they are the SoCon champs and they have that FBS win and they're undefeated against the FCS, I mean, they deserve that 6th seed in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then same with Kennesaw. They're the Big South champs. They're undefeated against the FCS. Like, I think they would be 9-0 against the FCS. Is that right?
Kennesaw?
Yeah.
Yes, because they would be they'd be 10-1 with 1-1 against non-FCS. Yeah.
Right. So that's the reason I gave them the 7. Not as impressive as East Tennessee State, but still impressive going undefeated against the FCS. And then Villanova, yes, I know I have the CAA champs below James Madison, but Villanova has an FCS loss.
Yeah, I
And
don't
in
think there's
fact,
any.
it's a worse FCS loss than James Madison.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a conference champion below another team from their conference because
Right.
sometimes tiebreaker rules. Like I know it's head to head, but there's more to it, to the whole body of work than a head to head.
Yeah, and then below I have the bracket laid out. I have Incarnate Word getting in from the SoCon.
You mean the
Play,
Southland?
yeah, did I say SoCon?
Yeah,
From the Southland.
yeah.
They're your Southland champions because of the head-to-head with SLU.
Mhm.
And then I have them playing the Pioneer champion in Davidson. I know that's a long trip for Davidson, but when I was going through everything, I tried to get the West out of the way first.
Yeah.
And so that's how, because it's easier to do the East and the Southeast. It's easier to do those regions rather than the West or the Midwest.
I gotcha.
So that just happened to match up the way it did. And then in Villanova's portion, I have the Patriot League champions in Holy Cross facing William and Mary.
Yep.
Now, this is one of those things that I could see either or happening. I really need to go back and fix that because I picked Richmond to beat William and Mary, which is going to eliminate them from the playoffs. But as of
But if
right
they
now,
win, yeah, if they win,
if they win, they get in. But that's what this is. I'll have another one that I'll do next Saturday or this Saturday after all
right,
the games
after
are done.
the games are over, yeah.
Yeah. And so this is my penultimate bracketology.
How much of Sac State versus Sela to go to Eastern Washington stems off of your desire to see Cole Kelly and ED3 play each other?
100%.
Okay, I just wondered because now it's not totally unheard of for
No.
for that to
But
happen. I mean, we had to go to Eastern in 16 for the second round. So
Sela was one of the ones that I swapped around a lot. I think I had them in Incarnate Word's position right now, and then I have Incarnate Word going to Sac State. And then I started thinking about it, and there were a few other teams that I switched, and I ended up moving Incarnate Word to stay in Texas because they're going to beat Davidson. If this happens, they're going to beat Davidson, and
yeah,
it's
no
less
doubt.
of a trip to Sam Houston than it would be to anywhere else. So, but anyways, I have William and Mary making it, and then going to NDSU's bracket. I have Montana versus South Dakota State, which
That sucks for North Dakota State.
yep.
Holy smokes.
But
we just get two teams that have both been in the seeding conversation all year. Oh, God bless.
But I mean, if anybody can handle it, it's North Dakota State. So
No, you're right.
unless we want to consider Sam Houston last year.
Yeah.
So in Eastern Washington's portion, I have Sac State versus Sela. I really want to see that Sela game. I want to see Eric Berrier versus Cole Kelly so bad. That would be a fun game to watch. And then moving on down to James Madison, I have Sacred Heart, the
Oh, come on now.
NEC. There we go. The NEC champions playing Rhode Island, which Rhode Island is also another team that I could see losing this week. They play Elon. If they lose to Elon, they're out.
Okay.
So, for right now, I have Rhode Island in. And then moving to East Tennessee State, I have Missouri State playing UT Martin. Man, what it would be to see UT Martin upset Missouri State and then go in and upset ETSU. That would be amazing.
Would it be? Maybe, but I don't foresee that happening.
I don't see
think,
it happening either, but
honestly, if that's what happens and Missouri State gets UT Martin and then would go to Lynchburg,
the
yeah,
other
Lynchburg
side, no, they would go to
is ETSU not in Lynchburg?
Johnson City.
Johnson City. Okay, sorry.
So they would be going from West Tennessee all the way to East Tennessee.
I think Missouri State walks through that pretty easily. And honestly, that's just in my opinion. I think that they pretty much roll through that and then would move on to Harrisonburg pretty easily. That's just how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, I do too, but geographically they fit. I mean, they're pretty close to UT Martin, so I mean, obviously that's where I had to put them. But it would be awesome if UT Martin could do the OVC well.
I just think that if I'm Bobby Petrino and I get a bracket, like obviously I would love to have a bye because it's a long season, but if I'm Bobby Petrino and I see that we get UT Martin in the first round and then we get East Tennessee State in the second round and we get to avoid anybody out of, a power conference until
they wouldn't look who they would have to play.
I'm saying until the third round.
Oh, okay.
Then holy smokes, yeah, that's super favorable for Missouri State, I think.
Yeah, and then in the Montana State portion of the bracket, I have UC Davis playing South Dakota for a chance to play at Montana State. And then I have Southern Illinois playing Mercer for a chance to play Kennesaw.
Any hesitancy with South Dakota if they lose this week?
Oh, if they lose, they're out.
I agree. All right.
Which also, with certain teams losing, it frees up a bunch of spots. So my first four out, I have Chattanooga, SFA, VMI, and FAMU.
Is that in order?
Yes.
Because if I was going to flip those around, like if I was going to put them in order, I think I'd have SFA first.
Well, you're probably going to have at least 2 losses.
Yeah.
This weekend. So basically, you're counting on Chattanooga and SFA to make it. Yeah. Honestly, I've seen some brackets that are including Chattanooga. I personally don't think they've done enough. They need to win this weekend in order to solidify their spot in the playoffs should somebody lose from the bubble. So I personally think more losses are going to happen, and I think at least 3 or all 4 of these teams are going to get in.
Cool. That's a good bracket. I mean, you backed everything up. I think that is that's a good one. So
we'll see what my last one looks like.
Yeah, we'll have to throw that on the Twitter sphere. Yep. Let everybody look at it. So yeah, that is it for us today. Hope you enjoyed a season-long weekly date with ASUN football and hearing us talk it each week. We appreciate you listening in all year long, and then hopefully we will have one more final episode after the playoffs are over. A little bit more of a reflection episode, even more than today was. And
if that's okay, because I forgot we're both going to Frisco. We might want to wait until after Frisco.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe after after playoffs are over, and we can share Frisco experiences, and it'll be a good episode to end it out this year. But for now, this is the last time you'll see us on the YouTube
for more than a month.
Yeah, for a good little bit of time. So we really do appreciate everybody that has listened in. It's been really fun to talk football all year long, to get a break from school to do that. So thanks for listening and watching on YouTube. We really do appreciate it. Thanks to the guys at FCS Fans Nation for letting us be a part of the FCS Fans Nation network. That's where you're watching this video right now. So make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel because there's a ton of good content. If you are not already a subscriber, there's a ton of great podcasts that are coming out on it, including the FCS Fans Nation podcast. Tune in this week. They will be live reacting to the selection show. And it'll probably be a better show than the ESPN version of it, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Because anything is better than listening to commentators that have never heard of some of these FCS schools butcher names on a playoff selection show. So,
Well,
no,
Jay Walker is the only one that I like listening to.
See, Jay Walker is one of the ones I don't enjoy listening to.
He's more knowledgeable than most of everybody about the
It's
FCS.
true. He has a little bit more knowledge, but sometimes it's like, I don't know. It's whatever. But no, we really appreciate you listening in. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Siler_Will. You can follow Brandon at James_BOwens95. His is a little more complicated than mine. And then you can follow us on Twitter at Around The ASUN and keep up with us even as we go on this little 4-week hiatus. So we will see you at the end of the playoffs, and it's going to be a great ride. Thanks for listening, and we will see you in about a month. Put you on the spot there, getting the bracket out real quick.
I know.
You're trying to get it. You're trying to get it up. I was trying to get the. I was trying to get it off my notes after you shared it with me. And I couldn't get the computer to work.